Hey, what's up, y'all? Books Nelson here, back with another video, and I wanted to get into this Mike Wang's tweeting, basically. And I'm gonna do this if there's ever like a bunch of developer tweets and like a bunch of news things that all come together that we can cover in one video. I will be happy to do that as long as I am able to. So if it's just like one tweet or whatever, no big deal. But he stopped tweeting about a half hour ago, so we'll round it up for now. And if he gets back into it, because it is only in the afternoon over on the West Coast. We'll probably cover that tomorrow if there's enough news. But I wanted to get into this stuff because he covers a lot of stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look. So we're just going to go down the line. Let's say first and foremost, um, the real player percentage, according to Mike, is only offline. I don't know if that's here or if I read this somewhere else, but I just wanted to say that at the outset. Before we go forward, let's go ahead and look at the roadmap here because this is going to affect my team. So obviously today was the pro play and gameplay. So next week it'll be my player and my career. Then August 12th, my NBA and the W. And then as you can see here, my team will get its first in about another 18 days, right? So 2 weeks before you hear about my team stuff. So you guys can kick back, relax, and enjoy your 100 overall locker code and whatever they drop. There was a good point. I think it was Mills brought it up. Spatial Jones agreed, where they basically said, if the my team intro doesn't start out with an apology or an acknowledgement of what went wrong, there's a problem because of the way they went back on their blogs earlier in the year. Like, you can't just put up a blog this year and be like, oh, this is what we're gonna do, when everything you did last year, you basically went back on. And then after that, you have the city on 26, which I'll be concerned about. And from there, it's basically we go right into the launch. They'll talk about season one, and and then the game comes out. So that having been said, let's see what Mike is tweeting about. So he's talking about rhythm shooting here. Okay, so free throws, have they been changed? They've been retuned. And I mean, I don't know. I found like, for me, the free throw, like the jump shooting is really based upon a release. If I had a good jump shot, anywhere from a 70 on up, you could be consistent with it if it was about to release. I think the same thing was true with the free throws. This will concern my team more because those difficult jumpers, those difficult free throws, maybe they'll be easier if you have a higher free throw rating and harder if you have a lower free throw rating. So that's worth noting. What else? Still, our instant green animations back. There's a new shot feedback system called Simple and the customized HUD menu that is on by default. It'll display your shot timing feedback immediately once you release a shot. If you want the full feedback, which includes defensive coverage, which I like, you want to change that visibility setting to all shots. So we'll be making that adjustment when the game comes out. This is a big one. Is the court player model ratio different? Answer: we adjusted the player to court ratio to give players more room to operate. It's improved the flow of the game and allows for certain cuts that would often get jammed up before. The AI spacing engine also got a huge upgrade compared to just a few static locations last year. There are now over 20 dynamic adjustment locations, constantly feeding the AI into a stream of spacing information. This helps AI teammates properly space to give you more room to isolate or work the two-man game. It also helps them to understand more advanced spacing concepts when deciding to help, double, and rotate on defense. This is absolutely massive, so that should be really, really good. I will say, don't overreact to pictures that you see of the game in terms of spacing. Remember that 2K has lenses on the cameras in the game, and so the way lenses work is the longer a lens is, it's going to be a wide angle lens. And so things can look more distorted and far apart. And the more shallow a lens is, the more squashed down and flat things are going to go, like a telephoto lens, right? So long story short, if you are looking through the lenses of the in-game camera, it can be a little deceiving how far things are depending on which camera they're using to show the game. So until we actually get the game ourselves and can pick the cameras that we play on, don't overreact to the spacing that you see in pictures, is my advice. How have shot meters changed? Blah, blah, blah. Basically, the shot meter is different. So it's actually a pretty big difference. There's 3 options to choose from: arrow, which is default; ring, and dial rather than freezing when you release the shot button. All of the meters animate from beginning to end in sync with the ideal time to release the button. The important thing he says here is that it's you don't have to adjust for online latency. They appear to have fixed this issue, that it's much more accurate when you play online, which is massive because it was basically almost unrelated to what you saw on screen. Our instant green animations, but yeah, okay, that's the same old one from before. Are there changes? Oh, this is an interesting one. Are there any changes to the passing mechanics of this game? There are a number of improvements to the passing overall, but the noticeable is improved lob-based pass logic. The targeting on lobs is much better, and that's disappointing to me because the lead passes are the worst part. So I'm a little nervous about this because the passing has seen better days than last year. The lead passing was out of control, and dexing is some people's like main way of scoring. For those of you who play my team and aren't familiar with the term dexing, it basically just means when you purposefully move your character. It's like the push out. That is a human being doing a push out. Like when you call a pick and roll and the person's going to roll, but you manually push them to the 3-point line and they get that speed boost. Well, it's that same thing, but a human's doing it. They call it dexing in my career community. But basically, the speed boost on it is so incredible. So the backdoor cuts going to the basket, the speed boost is crazy. And then going away from the basket, the speed boost is crazy. They need the passing to not be so attached to the person receiving the ball so that if the defender correctly cuts off the person who is trying to go to the basket, that the ball just goes out of bounds. It happens like 1 out of every 5,000 passes or something. And when it does happen, every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, that should just happen whenever that happens. Like that's just the play. If you're trying to cut backdoor like that, either it should pass behind them and they get, and they catch it behind them and they stop their forward momentum, or the ball should go out of bounds. They should not be running through you and zooming past you and catching the ball. So lobs, I didn't really have an issue with lobs this particular year. I mean, obviously everything could always be improved, but we'll see. Obviously the control's been changed here as well, control-wise. Bounce alley-oops are now triggered contextually, and self-alleys have been moved to cross-circle AB. Cross-circle AB. Oh, he's talking about, okay, yeah, PlayStation. So basically the A and B or X and O. He calls it cross. That's funny. I mean, that makes more sense because we call it X than, our thing Xbox. But anyway. Any changes to layup dunk timing this year? Layup timing is optional and disabled by default, but I'd recommend turning it on if you want to gain advantage as a slasher. Just like shots, there are separate layup timing profiles, okay? Real percentage, which won't be available online, low, normal, and high. That's very interesting that you can have the layup timing, and the layup timing for open layups can follow those other rules they were talking about. Dunk timing is always on for skill dunks, but you can still dunk without using that particular mechanic. The dunk meter logic has also been improved, so instead of the window size being determined just at the start of the dunk, it dynamically adjusts throughout the entire dunk sequence to better reflect defensive impact. This is going to be a massive change to the game because the way it was before, basically, if you didn't get in front of the person by the time they triggered the dunk, you were dead. Now, the benefit of this is that in 2K, when you were in front of people or slightly to the side of them, but you had them beat, like obviously in real life, if you're on the side of the offensive player, you're in bad defensive position. But in 2K, people could still attach to you, slam into you, and stop your attempt. They could pull you out of a dunk attempt or a layup attempt. They could vacuum to the ball in the dunk attempt or the layup attempt. And that's where the dunk meter was a good thing because it's basically saying, I have you beat, see you next play. The bad thing was that would happen, and even if the person came in after you triggered it and there was still plenty of time left to contest the shot, they would just get dunked on or they wouldn't affect the shot at all because the dunk meter was already triggered. While this is effective in my team, everybody has elite defense by the end of the year. In fact, really, even at the beginning of the year, the interior players already have really, really great defense. Whereas in my career, you have to compromise on your defense. The ratings aren't going to go as high. They're not going to go to like 99. The badges aren't all going to go to Hall of Fame. The people aren't all going to be gigantic. And depending on the lobby, their player might not be done, right? So depending on all of those factors, the interior defense, so something like Anchor actually does greatly reduce the effectiveness of stick dunks, even stick dunks that are triggered in the ideal stick dunk scenario. If you came in late and you had Hall of Fame Anchor, you can, I think it was 25% reduction of a dunk, a dunk meter dunk, which is not a lot, but a whole lot more than, the 100% rate that you would get if you didn't have it. Whereas in my team, you could get dunks to miss because, again, if you have dark matter bowl or something like that, in the basket, dark matter Wemby, being that tall, being in the paint, jumping in there, they had a much better chance of contesting it. So this will be interesting to see, because the dunk meter definitely needed a nerf. Let's be very clear about that. But at the same time, if it's too nerfed, they really have to get a hold of those defensive animations where you have somebody beat and they still can just either block your shot or basically foul you and not be called for it. How does the shot feedback work for rhythm shooting? When using rhythm shooting, there are two main factors to consider: push timing and tempo. Push timing is to the point you start to move the pro stick. You want to do the movement, your player reaches the set point of the shot. This is the thing that it hangs on. What is the set point? Tempo is the speed at which you have to move the pro stick to the opposite side of your original stick throw. Opposite side. Okay, so it means from down to up. I wonder if that does mean that this is available in stuff like sidestep shots. So it's interesting the language that he used there. The goal is to finish the stick deflection to the opposite side exactly to match the point. So there's like a 2K golf thing. That's what that reminds me of. The golf game. Interesting. Generally, it's going to feel slower. My best advice is to go practice. Okay, yeah. So they're saying that from doing it, from using it all the time, that as they got more used to it, it became more of a factor. So there you have it. And that is going to wrap up our news segment for what Mike is talking about on Twitter. For more info as we go through this news cycle of 2K, I'll be here for the next one as more news comes out. And until then, I'll see you guys. Please like and subscribe if you have not already. And peace.